This is a true Jinn story. It was the 1990s when we arrived at an old building to use it as a madrasa. The building had been abandoned for over 20 years and you could feel the weight of its history as soon as you walked in. It was massive with 120 rooms spread across 3 sections: the east, the west, and the central wing. We set up the east wing while we prepared the rest of the building for use. One of our teachers gave us a stern warning. He said, "Stay out of the west wing. Don't ever think about going there." Naturally, as young boys, we were curious and we dared each other to explore. So one afternoon, a group of us decided to venture into the west wing. It was broad daylight around noon, but the place felt eerie. As we walked through the dusty corridors, holding on to each other for courage, we heard strange noises, doors banging, creaking sounds, and even whispers. My heart raced as we ran back, chanting kalimas under our breath. That was it for me. I was never going back. Among us was a boy, let's call him Imran. He was about 13 years old, from Bangladesh. Imran was the quietest, most unassuming kid you could imagine. He didn't know a word of English or Arabic. He just spoke Bengali, and he kept to himself, focused on his goal of memorizing the Quran. At that time, he had only completed the first juz of his hifz. One day, Imran wandered off to the west wing. No one thought much of it, but when he returned, something changed. During class, Imran brought the Quran to the teacher and in fluent Arabic said, "Test me." I couldn't believe my eyes. This was the same boy who barely spoke and knew no Arabic. The teacher thought he was joking, but when he tested him, Imran recited flawlessly from different parts of the Quran. He even challenged the teacher, engaging in a full Arabic conversation. The next day, things took a bizarre turn. Imran shaved off his head, leaving the other half untouched. He walked down the corridor with his hat off, completely unbothered by how odd he looked. The other students were terrified, and I admit, I felt uneasy too. That night, Imran went to bed sharing a room with 5 other boys. Around 2 a.m., those boys came running down the corridor, banging on the principal's door, screaming about something in their room. When the principal arrived, he found Imran sound asleep, alone. The boys were sent back to their beds, but minutes later, they returned pale and shaking. They claimed they could hear something scratching the walls and whispering, "Imran, Imran, Imran." This went on all night, screams, scratches, and whispers of Imran's name. By morning, the teachers decided to intervene. During breakfast, the head teacher began reciting verses from the Quran over Imran. But something incredible happened. The jinn inside Imran started reciting counter verses to nullify the teacher's recitation. I sat there stunned, watching this battle unfold. This was no ordinary jinn. The teacher later confirmed that it was a believing jinn, a hafiz in fact, with deep knowledge of Arabic. The teacher explained that the only way to free Imran was to return him back to his hometown. He believed that the west wing was temporarily inhabited by a family of jinns who would leave after a month. If Imran stayed away, the jinn would naturally depart to go back to his family. We drove Imran back home to his village, and on the way he tried to jump off the car while we were speeding at 100 kilometers an hour. The teacher shouted at him, pulled him back just in time. It became clear that the jinn was not ready to leave. We left Imran with his family and returned after a month. When he came back to the madrasa, he was his old self again. Quiet, shy, with no recollection of Arabic or his strange behavior. It was as if none of it had ever happened. Even now, I get the chills thinking about it. This experience has taught me that the unseen world is real. More real than we can often care to admit. Some things you can only believe when you witness them yourself.